Hey guys, I'm here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm actually talking with Boris. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Hey, everybody.
So we're here at your offices, and it's pretty cool. First of all, I've never been to Cambridge before. There's a lot of innovation taking place, and you guys have been doing electric bikes now for it seems like about 3 years. It's 2014, so
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. We started about 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay, and it's neat to see how the product's improved. I just got to test ride some of your new bikes today, and then learning a little bit more about how your business model works. You guys are sort of distributed, it sounds like. Cambridge has some offices, but then there's also some touch points around the world, really.
No, that's right. So the core of our team is actually in Boston, and that's where we started. That's where we're based. But we do have some distribution around the country. So, for example, some of our support is being done both from Boston and from the West Coast in Seattle. And this way, for example, we're able to offer customer service 7 days a week from early morning until late evening all over the country.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite parts about the company, actually. We've been in touch and kind of working together in the sense that you've provided bikes and touch points over the past couple of years. And your customer service is one of my favorite parts.
Thank you.
Yeah, like given the website, your availability, I think from the very start, you and I were emailing, and I was actually a customer. I bought one of the bikes and tried it out, and it's been cool to feel like this company is growing with the industry, but at the same time maintaining that personal feel. And so you're one of the co-founders, right? And you've done, it sounds like, other startups that deal with technology in the past. Is that correct?
That's right. So my background is actually in technology and transportation. So for example, before founding EVELO, one of the companies that I was involved with was doing person-to-person car sharing. So a service similar to Zipcar, it was called Relay Rides. And it essentially enabled people to share their own cars with other people when they're not using it.
Cool.
So from that, one thing led to another, and it eventually evolved into EVELO.
Yeah, well, transportation is, it's something that we all deal with, I guess, unless you work online from home. But I love the aspect of fitness and community that electric bikes bring.
Absolutely.
And your products are really, they're one of the more affordable priced brands out there, at least at this point. I know you're working on it, but to think that you could get like that full suspension Aries for a couple grand starting out is neat. Is that something that you're targeting?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the market today, you have everything from $1,000 or less sold in Walmart and Amazon to bikes ranging to $6,000 and more.
Right.
For us, $2,000 as a starting point has always been really important. Even though a lot of people do prefer to get a couple of upgrades, and sometimes their bike ends up costing $2,500. But the fact that anybody can get a really good electric bike starting at $2,000 is something that we really want to stress.
Right, and then also the great range that is offered by the whole Middrive thing. So that's another sort of an innovative piece of your mechanical system, right? Not every bike out there. A lot of them use hub motors and stuff, and yours are maybe a little bit better at climbing and getting that range. And so yeah, again, that's
the
differentiates you.
Absolutely, the Middrive motor has a couple of advantages. For one of our most popular features is something called NuVinci M360 internal hub. It's an internal hub that makes shifting gears a really seamless, smooth process. And it's something that you can only really do if you have a mid-drive motor, because it goes on the rear hub.
Right.
Then, from a personal experience, a couple of years ago when we were just starting the company, we actually organized a 4,000-mile tour from New York City to San Francisco.
Wow.
And part of it was actually to see how the bikes perform under different conditions, when they're going up hills, mountains, and pulling, let's say, a 60-pound trailer in tow. So having the mid-drive motor and being able to do the hill climbing fairly easy has been a big benefit to me personally.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, that's right. I remember reading about that a couple years ago, and you went with a friend, and she and you both had it's like a Burley trailer and a Bob trailer and all your stuff in it. I mean, that's That's amazing. It really does show, what's possible with electric bikes. You must have carried some extra batteries, right? And then charged at friends' houses, or how did that work?
When we did that trip, we traveled around 80 to 110 miles a day.
Wow.
So we actually, each one of us had 3 batteries in total, one on the bike and 2 spares. And every night when, let's say, we would settle in for the night at a hotel, we would charge up the batteries and have enough power to go more the next day. Today we introduced a couple of extended range batteries, so I think that we would have been able to do the same thing now with only 2 batteries because we can get more out of each one.
Right. Well, and I know, it must have been something to avoid, right? Breaking down or having issues on the road. Again, the mid-drive motor makes it a little bit easier to mess with your wheels and change flats and stuff because the motor is separate. But can you tell me a little bit about your warranty for EVELO, given that other people don't want to end up in it?
So one of the things that we do, a lot of our customers, they purchase directly from us online, and we ship the bike to them 95% assembled, so it's almost ready to go. Now, because we use mid-drive motors, it makes warranty and servicing the bikes a lot easier. So by default, we offer an 18-month warranty on all of the bikes. They can also be extended to 24 months. Now, if a customer ever has a problem, and let's say that they bought directly from us and there's not a dealer nearby,
right.
The way that they get service is actually really simple. They simply get in touch with us. They get assigned an account manager who reaches out to a local bike shop near them. We set up an appointment directly with the bike shop, so the customer simply drops off the bike, and then we deal directly with the mechanic at the shop. Now, because it's a mid-drive configuration, the mechanics, even if they had no prior experience with handling or servicing electric bikes, it's very easy for them to fix mechanical parts. It's very easy for them to replace electrical parts. And again, we work directly with the shop. And then once the repair is complete, then the customer simply picks up the bike and he's good to go.
Okay, very cool, very cool. And the other piece about this, earlier we were talking about having offices in different places and the support and the kind of available when you need it 7 days a week. Earlier we were talking, you said you're learning Chinese and that you're obviously you have like a little bit of an accent, so you're kind of an international guy. That's kind of...
Sure. So originally I'm from Europe. I've been in the US for a good 15 years at this point. So right now I am learning Chinese. At the end of the day, this is definitely the language that's coming in very handy if you're in this industry or frankly in a lot of other ones today.
Right. Well, and I guess from my perspective, like I've seen the bikes improving over the past couple of years and getting refined, and so I suppose it makes a difference being able to, go over to Asia where some of the parts are supplied and work with the system to dial it in. Correct.
So this is something that really helps relationships. This is something that really helps you to understand how things get done. So it's certainly a benefit to being able to speak the language.
Is that part of your role as Chief Electric Officer? I was reading your business card earlier, and what does that mean? What's a day in the life here?
Well, I think that as a co-founder of any company, the day really
turns into a night.
That's probably a separate story. But at the end of the day, it ranges. A good chunk of the day usually involves communicating with the rest of the team. So again, we have most of our team is in Boston. Some of them are distributed around the country, in Seattle, in New York, mainly in an effort to be able to provide around the clock or 7 days a week customer service. So making sure that everybody has the resources that they need to help the customers is something that I consider a big part of my job. And then aside from that, it's just thinking and looking at opportunities to make the product better, to see where the industry goes, and to make sure that we are at the forefront. Okay, well, I guess as far as where the industry goes, who's your primary customer and who is your bike really for? Can you tell me, Absolutely. So I would say that generally speaking, most of our customers, they come from several categories. So oftentimes we have customers who are, let's say, over 50 years old, and they're looking for ways to get more active, or they're looking for ways to stay active. And an electric bike is something that really makes it easier for them.
Right.
The other big part of our consumer base are commuters who are also looking for ways to, let's say, replace their car or drive less and instead commute to work.
Mm-hmm.
But perhaps they have a couple of hills between them and their job, or they haven't been biking for years and
Right.
are a little bit intimidated. Or maybe sometimes people just don't want to arrive to work sweaty, and an electric bike allows them to get around that. And then finally, a pretty big chunk of our consumer base are going to be families who are looking for ways to do more active things together. And electric bike has been considered one of the great equalizers. So even if in a family you have one person who's an avid cyclist and can go 100 miles nonstop, and the other person who is just getting into it, an electric bike puts them on the same level.
Right, yeah, evens the playing field. I think I probably fit in that second category, and was commuting to work and had some some knee pain, like towards the end of the week. You've been going back and forth every single day and not wanting to get sweaty. And you get to that point where what options are there, because I still want to ride my bike, but something that can take me the distance, something that's comfortable. You mentioned you also have like a special program for saddle replacement, speaking of comfort.
So we have a couple of, I think, fairly unique programs. So first of all, for customers who buy directly from us and we ship the bike to them, we realize that when you get the bike, sometimes, for example, the saddle that you get it's a very personal thing. So what we offer is the ability for you to go out to a local bike shop, pick out any saddle that you want that works for you, and simply submit the receipt to us, and we'll reimburse you up to $40.
Wow.
And it's just one little thing that goes a long way to making sure that when you get a bike, it's exactly what you want and it's exactly what makes you comfortable.
Yeah, well, that said, I mean, I was testing like the 2014 models, and you've got a new saddle that's even more comfortable now. So it's like, it's cool that you pay attention to those things. Like, again, like the battery system is a little bit tighter now and more refined. You got a chain tensioner, little things like that kind of go a long way.
Well, actually, since we talked last about a year and a half ago, and you've made several suggestions to us, we've made quite a few improvements. We've introduced a 500-watt configuration to our models. We've introduced a new, more advanced display panel with USB charger for, let's say, a cell phone or a GPS.
Right.
New saddles, new fenders. Just making sure that the overall package that you get is solid and is going to last you for thousands of miles.
Right, that's cool. And you do sell batteries separately too. So if someone at 1,000+ miles, they've worn the battery out, like you sell.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned it. One of the things that we recently introduced is something called a 1,000-mile club. And a 1,000-mile club is essentially it acknowledges and honors to some degree EVELO customers that reach the 1,000-mile threshold on their bikes. So we have quite a few members there at this point, and not really a lot of battery replacements. But if somebody does need to replace the battery, again, it's covered under warranty for up to 2 years. And even beyond that, a new battery starts at just $425.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And yeah, you have different sizes. I get into that in the reviews. But I guess as far as the batteries go and using this to get around, do you have any advice on how people can just care for their batteries? Like when you get it, I've heard people say, discharge it about halfway, recharge it, discharge it, but don't go all the way. And also make sure it uncharges a little before you, break in or storage techniques, because it's always great to hear from the experts here.
Absolutely. I mean, these days, the battery management is a lot simpler than it was, let's say, 5 or 10 years ago. simply because the battery materials, the battery cells that we use are fairly good. And really the only maintenance that you need to do is just make sure that you charge the battery at least once every 3 months.
Okay.
And that's about it. One of the things that we have actually is kind of related to that. We have this program called the Ambassador Program. So if you're ever curious to talk to if you're considering an electric bike and you're curious to talk to other customers in your area who already have an electric bike and find out from them how they care for their batteries to make sure that they get the optimum performance. The Ambassador Program essentially allows you to contact us. We put you in touch with a local customer and you can meet with them for a test ride. You can meet with them to ask questions just like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. And it sounds like you've got people around the country who can...
At this point, most of the continental U.S. and Hawaii is covered.
Really? You got some people out there in Hawaii biking
right.
up volcanoes with this thing. That's sweet. Boris, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks again for taking me around the space and introducing me to some of the team, letting me try the different bikes that you guys offer. Again, great job.
Thank you very much, Cord. Really appreciate you coming out here.
Absolutely. And what's the website? Where should people go if they want more info?
Come out to www.evelo.com. And if you have any questions, you can email me personally. It's boris@evelo.com.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.